I welcome you all for this FTP program. Actually, it is fourth session. And first of all, I would like to thank our Honorable Vice Chancellor for giving us this opportunity to conduct this FTP. Next, I would like to thank our Head of the Department, Dr. Thangavel Sir, for giving us this opportunity to present the latest technologies in Industry 4.0. First, Thangavel Sir already explained what is Industry 4.0 and the technologies in Industry 4.0. One of the technologies in Industry 4.0 is data analytics. So why do we use this data analytics in Industry 4.0? The industrial data is collected from various sources and they are stored in data lake. And to make effective decisions, we need to apply data analytics. So big data analysis plays a critical role in the success of IoT and Industry 4.0. So first, before seeing what is data analytics, we'll see what is data. Data is a set of values of qualitative or quantitative variables. So what are quantitative variables? So quantitative variables are just counts. So it may be height, weight or any count. So what are qualitative variables? Qualitative represents characteristics of a person or thing. So it may be identification number or it may be gender. So any categorical value is qualitative variable. So what is data? It is information in raw or recognized unorganized form, or it may be a fact. So these are simple definitions of data. And what is information? It is meaningful or organized data is information. So we see data everywhere. It comes from different places. That is, the data may be from healthcare, or it may be signal data, or it may be weather station data or social media data. And this data can be categorized into three major types. So what are those types? Structured data, unstructured data, and semi-structured data. So what are structured data? So when the data is organized in the form of rows and columns, then it is called structured data. So that is data stored in databases or spreadsheets. So these data come under the structured data. So what is unstructured data? The data which is very difficult to retrieve or store. It is known as unstructured data. So the unstructured data example is email, any text, images, photos, and then videos. So these data come under unstructured data. So what is semi-structured data? Semi-structured data is a mix of both structured and unstructured data. So an example is it may be XML file or JSON file, HTML file. These data come under this semi-structured data. So what is data analytics? We have seen what are the types of data. What is data analytics? It is the discovery, interpretation, and communication of meaningful patterns in data. And why are these patterns discovered? In order to make effective decisions. So this is the definition for data analytics. And data analytics uses several tools to make a business decision. So why do we go for data analytics? Is it necessary to use data analytics in our applications? So there are several applications: signal processing, image processing applications, text analysis. So in these applications, why do we go for data analytics? The quality of inputs decide the quality of output. So without pre-processing, if you go and derive patterns for different applications, the data will be erroneous. So it will come to erroneous decisions. So only we go for data analytics. It is used for faster and better decision making. So what are the phases of data analytics? First phase is problem understanding. So you have to first understand the problem. Next phase is data preparation, exploratory data analysis. So these two phases are very important phases in the data analytics. And next phase is setup phase, and next phase is modeling, and then evaluation phase, deployment phase. So we'll see these phases one by one. What is problem understanding phase? So first you got the problem understanding phase. What a data analyst does is, first he has to enumerate all the objectives of the project. So when the project objectives then must be translated into problem specification. So this is done in the problem understanding phase. And the next two phases are very important phases of data analytics. So data exploration phase and data preparation phase. So what is data exploration? So before finding patterns from data, so first you have to explore the data. So what is explorations? What are the steps in exploration? First you have to identify the variables. You have to perform univariate analysis, bivariate analysis, and then you have to treat the missing values. So you have to find the outliers, and then you have to feature engineer the objects. Then next, data preparation. The data preparation refers to variable transformation, variable creation, and dimensional reduction. So first you will go to these phases. So first, variable identification. So first step in data exploration is variable identification. So in this case, what we have to do is, first you have to identify all the variables in the given problem or data. So how will you identify the variables? So you have to identify the variables as either predictor variables or output variables or target variables. So for example, if you see in this slide, the predictor variables are student ID, gender, height, weight. So these are all predictor variables, and play cricket is the target variable. So which is having the values yes or no. So after identification of variables, you have to determine the data type of those variables. So data type may be either categorical or numerical variables. So the numerical variables can be either discrete or continuous variables. So what is the next step? After identification of predictor variables and target variables, next we have to go for univariate analysis. So what is univariate analysis? So in this step, what we have to do is, so it is mainly used for highlighting the missing and outlier values. So there are missing, you have to find out the missing and outlier values which will affect the extraction of patterns. So what is univariate analysis? This can be done with, so you have to analyze each variable one by one. You have to explore the variables one by one. So for exploring all the variables, so we can use either visualization technique, data visualization techniques. It is here bar chart is used for identification. The first picture, so bar chart is used for identification of missing values. So the white color shows the missing values, and next one is box plot. This box plot diagram shows the outliers. So if you see the slide, dots represent outliers. So to identify all this, we can use either data visualization techniques or you can use statistical techniques. That is, we can use mean, mode, median. So these can also be used for univariate analysis. So if the data is, if the variable is categorical, we can go for mode. If it is continuous variable, then we can go for mean or median. So what is the next step? Bivariate analysis. So in univariate analysis, we explore the variables one by one. But what is bivariate analysis? Bivariate analysis determines the relationship between two variables. So how will you find out the relationship between the independent variable and dependent variable, or predictor variable and decision variable? So predictor variable is just independent variable and the dependent variable is the decision variable. So how will you find the relationship between these two variables? So you can use scatter plot diagram. It is also a data visualization technique. So you have to find the relationship between these variables and you have to find out whether the relationship is linear or non-linear. So if you see the plots, you can identify whether it is linear or non-linear. And to find out the strength of the relationship between the variables, you have to use correlation. So if the correlation value is -1, then that means there is a negative linear correlation between these variables. If the correlation value is +1, that means there's a positive linear correlation between these variables. If there is the value 0, there is no correlation between these variables. So this is also important step, bivariate analysis. And some people, they do go for multivariate analysis also. So if multivariate analysis used, if you have more than one decision variable, if you have more than one decision variable, then for multivariate analysis, what you can do is we can apply regression technique. So in regression, there are two types: logistic regression, linear regression. Logistic regression is used if the decision values, only the decision value is binary, that is 0 or 1 and 2, like that. If the decision variable is having more than two values, then you have to go for linear regression. So next step is missing value treatment. So why do we go for missing value? Why do we treat this missing values? So if you omit the treatment of missing values, it will reduce the fitness of the model and it leads to wrong prediction or classification. So only we go for treating the missing values. So missing values arise when we extract data or when you collect data. So this is an example for missing values. So here in the fourth record, name is Miss Richa and weight is 55 and the gender value is missing. And in the eighth record also, the gender value is missing. So how will you treat this missing data? So in some cases, the missing data, those rows with the missing data can be deleted if they are unimportant. Or, so second method is you can use mean or mode or median imputation. So what is imputation? It is a method to fill in the missing values with the estimated values. So what are the estimated values? You can replace missing values with mean or mode or median. So if the outliers are more in your data, then it is better to replace the data with median. If the outliers are less, then you can go for mean. So mean can be used to replace missing values. So what are the advanced methods? There are so many methods available for treating missing values, and other important methods are you can go for KNN based imputation, K nearest neighbor based imputation. So here based on the nearest neighbors, the data values filled. Or you can use logistic regression also to treat the missing values. Next step is you have outlier deduction. So what is outlier? Outlier is a data point that differs significantly from other observations. If you see this slide, so these 2 points represent outliers. So how will you treat these outliers? So these outliers, how do these outliers arise? So this is because of data entry errors. So the problem with data entry or measurement error. It may be measurement error or it may be experimental error or it may be data processing error or it may be a natural outlier. So these outliers, how will you detect outliers? These outliers can be detected based on the data visualization methods like box plot, histogram or scatter plot. So after detecting the outliers, how will you treat those outliers? So how will you remove those outliers? You can delete those observations simply, or you can use binning values, or you can use imputation methods, or you can use interquartile range. What is interquartile range? It is a measure of variability which is more robust than standard deviation. So its formula is actually Q3 minus Q1 and Q3 is the third quartile and Q1 is the first quartile. And another method which is a very popular method is binning method. This can be used for data discretization and also for outlier deduction. I will perform outlier deduction based on binning methods. So there are 3 binning methods. First one is equal width binning. In equal width binning, we divide the data into k categories of equal width and the value of k is chosen by analyst and or client. So the second method is binning by clustering method and the third method is equal frequency binning, which divides the numerical predictor into k categories where each category has k by n records where n is the total number of records. This n is also given as input. So this example shows nearly 9 data, I think 9, 4, 7, 8, 9 data and These 9 samples, first if you apply equal width binning, it is divided into 10 values. First 10 value, first range is 10. So from 0 to 10, it is stored in the first bin, and 10 to 20 are stored in the second bin, 20 to 30 are stored in the third bin. What is equal frequency binning? Here the value of n is taken as 3. So first 3, after sorting the data, first 3 numbers are stored in first bin, next 3 numbers are stored in second bin, and another last 3 numbers are stored in third bin. So next, what is feature engineering? So it is also an important step in data exploration phase. So feature engineering is the science of extracting more information from existing data. So how will you perform? So from the existing data, you have to derive a new data. That is the basic concept of feature engineering. So what is the process of feature engineering? It uses data transformation techniques and also variable creation technique. So what is variable transformation? So the data is transformed into some form, different form. So how will you use data transformation techniques? So one of the techniques is you can replace a variable by a function. For example, you can take a variable x, you can replace it with square root or cube root or logarithm value. That's the first method. And next method is the familiar method, normalization method. So why do we go for normalization method? It converts the data to a common scale. So if there is more deviation in different attribute values, then we have to go for normalization in order to get a better results. So here it is converted to common scale, and the popular normalization methods are min-max normalization, Z-score normalization, and normalization by decimal scaling. So these are the popular, and most of the research papers, people they go in for min-max normalization and Z-score normalization. So this min-max normalization converts the values into from 0 to 1. And if you use Z-score normalization, sometimes we get negative values also. If you use decimal scaling, it falls between -1 and 1. And we know data discretization. So why do we use this discretization method? So discretization is used to convert all the continuous values to discrete values. So the methods for performing discretization are binning method. We have seen binning method. Next, you can use clustering analysis, or we can go for entropy based discretization. So why do we go for entropy based discretization? It is used for handling uncertain data. So it is probability based formula, entropy based discretization. And next step is, so for variable transformation, we apply all the normalization techniques. Next, what is variable creation? So the variable creation also, it's also called as data derivation. So what is, we have to derive a new variable based on the existing value or existing variable. For example, if you have date as input variable, then we can generate new variables like day, month, year, week, weekday. So these variables can be generated or created. So this is known as some type variable creation, and sometimes this can be used for some problems if the data is derived data is needed. And what is dimensionality reduction? This is also one of the pre-processing methods. And this dimensionality, it is used to eliminate irrelevant features or to reduce data, reduce noise. So how will you reduce noise? So this dimensional reduction methods remove irrelevant data. So we have to find the dependency between the independent variables and the dependent variables, and if there is no relevancy, then you can remove those variables. So if the data is very large, so for big data, we can apply this dimensional reduction techniques. There are several dimensional reduction techniques available, and one of the techniques is principal component analysis or singular value decomposition. And for processing this signal data, signal data reduction, what we can do is we can go for wavelet transforms. So we can apply one of the transforms to reduce the data to new space. And the another popular method for dimensional reduction is rough sets. So next phases. So we have explored all this data exploration phase and data preparation phase. Next phase is modeling phase. So in the modeling phase, you have to select the appropriate model. There are so many models available. So you have to select the appropriate model. So to select the appropriate model, you can use either supervised learning technique or unsupervised learning technique or semi-supervised learning technique. What is unsupervised learning technique? Unsupervised learning supervised learning technique. Supervised learning technique learns from past data and applies the learning to present data and predicts the future events. So this is called a supervised learning algorithm. So here it uses only labeled data set. So if the class label is available, then you got to go for supervised learning. It learns from the historical data and it learns from the present data also to predict the future events. So label data is given as input to supervised learning algorithm, and a model is constructed in the supervised learning algorithm. So after constructing the model, based on the model constructed, new observations are given as input and prediction or classification is made. So there are several supervised learning algorithms like SVM, random forest, C4.5. So these are all popular classification algorithms. And for a prediction model, for prediction we can go for regression techniques. For classification we can go for random forest, SVM, C4.5 or Bayesian model or neural network techniques. So neural networks can be used for both prediction and also for classification. And now deep learning techniques. So deep learning techniques are used for both prediction and classification. And if the data size is small, you can go for machine learning techniques like SVM, random forest or C4.5. And what's the problem with decision tree based? So random forest, C4.5, ID3. So these are all decision tree based algorithms. So what's the problem with decision tree based algorithms? It takes more time for classification, but accuracy is good. Or if you want to take less time for classification, you can go for Bayesian approach, which is probability based approach, or you can go for neural networks also to get better output. And you can also go for, to get better accuracy, you can also go for deep learning methods. So accuracy is improved in deep learning methods, but time taken for analysis more. We told classification models and regression. These two come under this supervised learning. Regression is a form of predictive modeling which is used to investigate the relationship between dependent variable and independent variable. So this picture shows the classification and regression. So these are the various applications of supervised learning technique. If you want to perform text categorization, face detection, signature recognition, customer discovery, spam detection, weather forecasting, predicting house prices, stock price predictions. So these are all applications of supervised learning. So next we'll see what is unsupervised learning. So unsupervised learning is used if the data contains no labels. So if there is no label in the data, then we have to go for unsupervised learning. So in the unsupervised learning method, the input data is given, the machine learning algorithm learns itself, and it must be able to classify the data without any prior information from the data, and it provides the output. So all the clustering techniques, they come under this unsupervised learning method, all the clustering techniques. So it can be used for, clustering techniques can be used for fraud detection, malware detection, identification of human errors, conducting market basket analysis. They come under this unsupervised learning. For clustering, you can go for partitional clustering, hierarchical clustering, or density-based clustering. So these clustering techniques are available to categorize the data, or to cluster or group the data. And next one is semi-supervised learning. So semi-supervised learning is an approach to machine learning that combines a small amount of labeled data and unlabeled data. It combines both labeled and unlabeled data. So here some data is labeled, some data is unlabeled. So So one of the applications of semi-supervised learning is speech analysis and web content classification. They come under the semi-supervised learning. It is the classification process. It predicts the class of the new item. It's the regression model. These are the clustering techniques. Clustering technique group data into clusters. Similar data are placed in the same cluster. So model selection. So after identification of the data variables, you have to select a model. So you have to apply a model. So when you apply a model, you have to select either supervised or unsupervised technique based on the data. If it is labeled data, you can go for supervised techniques. If it is unlabeled data, you can go for unsupervised learning techniques. Sometimes if it contains both labeled data and unlabeled data, then you can go for semi-supervised learning techniques. So that's also deciding a better model is also very important for predicting the patterns. So next phase is model evaluation phase. So in this model evaluation phase, you have to find the best model that represents our data, and you have to tell also the chosen model will work in the future. So first you have to select the best model. In the model evaluation phase, you have to use all the evaluation measures. For example, if you take a prediction, so you can use precision recall measure, you can use ROC curve, confusion matrix. So for model evaluation, if it is clustering, you can go for Siboney measure, silo measure. There are several measures used for model evaluation. You can go for these measures. And finally, final stage is deployment phase. So deployment phase is to integrate your data analytics model into the production environment, and based on that, effective decisions are taken by the management. Now, what are the data analytics tools? So data analytics is supported by many tools. So we can use even Microsoft Excel for analytics, advanced Microsoft Excel, or you can use SAS language. Lakshmi Madam already discussed about SAS language. And then you can use the popular languages like R and Python. Python is having so many libraries for data analytics. Or for data visualization, you can go for Tableau Public or Apache Spark and Excel. And other data analysis tools are OpenRefine, Google Fusion Tables, Node, Excel. These are the various data analytics tools. So given a particular problem, first you have to extract the data, and then you can apply all these data transformation techniques. You have to go for exploratory data analysis, data preparation, and then after that you have to apply, you have to select a model. That's also very important. And then finally you have to evaluate your model. So what are the challenges in data analytics? So finding the right data and right data sizing is also very important. So in the setup phase, actually we have to divide the data into, so if it is classification, what we have to do is we have to divide the data into training set and test set. So when you divide the data into training set and test set, we can use cross-fold validation method, or we can divide the data into 70%, 20%, or 80%, 20%. So the right data sizing is very important in data analytics. So first right data and right data sizing. Next you have to consolidate all the information, and then you have to create data analytics models, and you have to select appropriate analytics use cases, and you have to ensure the security of data. So these are the various challenges in data analytics. So what are the various types of data analytics? So at the bottom layer, we have descriptive analytics. So descriptive analytics, actually it is based on the historical data. So already we have the historical data. So based on that, you have to mine the data to provide useful insights into the data. So it gives answers for the question, what has happened actually. So the data categorization comes under this category. And next type is predictive analytics. So predictive analytics predicts the future based on the historical patterns. future. Here it just derives, descriptive analytics just derives insights from the data, but predictive analytics predicts the future outcome based on historical patterns. So it will give the answer for the question, what could happen. So prediction comes under this category, predictive analytics. And the next stage is prescriptive analytics. So prescriptive analytics takes the output of predictive analytics and it enables to take smarter decisions based on the data it's having. So what types of data analytics do these companies choose? Descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics is selected by rarely data-driven decision-making companies, and predictive analytics is selected by somewhat highly data-driven companies, and prescriptive analytics is given decided by highly data-driven companies. So highly data-driven companies, they have to invest more to make this prescriptive analytics. And most of the companies, they apply only predictive analytics techniques. So next you will see the applications of data analytics in various fields. So data analytics in IoT. So how this data analytics is performed in IoT. So what are the challenges in IoT data analytics? So the data size is very large. This data, and it is also real-time data. So data size is also very large and it's real-time data which can be analyzed easily and efficiently with data analytics software. Here data analytics software is used to analyze the large amount of data which comes from different sensors or different data sources, and it should be processed in real time. That is also very important. And in IoT, the data may be unstructured or semi-structured or structured. And they're having different formats and types. So that's the problem with IoT. And it has to perform data analytics in IoT is having streaming data analytics. We get live streams and spatial analytics, time series analytics. So in the streaming analytics, we have to analyze the huge in-motion data sets. So real-time data streams must be analyzed to detect urgent situations and immediate actions. So one of the applications in IoT is financial streaming data analytics is financial transaction, traffic analysis. They come under the streaming analytics. And next one is spatial analytics. So the spatial analytics analyzes the geographical patterns to determine the spatial relationship between physical objects. So one of the applications of this spatial analytics is location-based applications, such as smart parking, smart car parking application. So it's a form of spatial analytics. And time series analytics. So this is also very important to analyze the associated trends and patterns. And one of the applications of this time series analytics is weather forecasting. So in healthcare monitoring systems, also they use this time series analytics. So next application is, we have seen an application in IoT. Next we'll see an application in image processing. So what is data analytics in image processing? So image analysis just extracts useful information from digital images. So digital images processing allows reduction of features in images, and usually images unstructured data. And what are the applications of data analytics in images? Facial recognition, object detection, healthcare application, social media analysis, visual search engines. We all use this image analytics techniques. So images are stored in the form of pixels. So it's a two-dimensional matrix. It is stored in the two-dimensional matrix form, and each value represents intensity or brightness of the pixel. If it is color image, it is stored in 3D values, that is 3 matrices or 3 channels. You have to to store red, green and blue values, which ranges from 0 to 255. So before analyzing this image, first you have to pre-process the image. How will you pre-process the image? In some cases, we have to apply image enhancement techniques, and in some cases, if it is distorted, then you have to apply image restoration techniques. And then if the image has noise, the noise must be removed using filtering techniques. Sometimes in pre-processing, we have to segment the image to separate the object from the background. So this image shows the segmented image. The first one is the original image and the next one is the segmented image. Segmented image, this can be used to identify, segmentation methods also used to identify the shape of cancerous cells. And the various segmentation techniques are region-based segmentation. We can apply clustering techniques also for segmentation, and edge reduction segmentation also we can apply. So what are feature extraction? So that's the next step in data preparation. It is we have to extract from the image, cannot be directly processed. We have to extract all the features. So we can extract shape-based features, color features, or texture-based features. For example, features are perimeter, radius, and area. Color features are mean color values of the gray images. And texture features are contrast, correlation, entropy, and other values. So these features must be extracted from the images, and then the image recognition can be performed based on neural networks or deep learning techniques. So if you use deep learning techniques, features are automatically extracted. If you give the objects or images, the features are automatically extracted by deep learning methods. But if you use neural networks, other neural networks or any other machine learning technique for image recognition, then you have to extract all these features. So you can extract shape-based features or color features, texture features. So this can be extracted, and the image can be recognized. And the popular method, deep learning method for feature image recognition or object identification in images is CNN model. Convolution neural network model is the popular model applied for processing images and for object detection. And when you go for deep learning, and you can use RNN, recurrent neural network model, for prediction. So if you want to make prediction, if you construct a prediction model, it's better to use RNN model. And next application is video analytics. So data analytics in video is video analytics. So here we have to analyze video analysis. We have to analyze the video to detect temporal or spatial events. These are some applications of video analytics. Advanced video analytics, we can use abandoned object detection, automatic video enhancement, zone inclusion detection, video fire detection. So these are all some applications of video analysis. So this video shows how video analytics is applied in IoT. So if you see this video, there are several videos. So these are different areas in a city. So this shows the traffic in various places. Here you can identify what are the cars which go in the wrong direction. So the traffic control, this can be used for traffic control. It is used for people identification. So here the real-time data is collected. So these are the various places from which the videos are collected, and they are processed, and the decisions are taken, effective decisions are taken. So here the cars go in the wrong direction. It is identified, speed of the car is identified, crowd is identified, density, direction, velocity, everything is identified using this video analytics. So this is smart city application. Okay, the GPS data and other data is also obtained real time, and it is processed real time based on IoT. So these videos are stored in the cloud and they are processed. And decisions are taken based on this. And the next application is text analytics. So we have seen what is image analytics, and then next IoT analytics, and then text analytics. So text analytics is the process of extracting meaning out of text. So given a text, you have to identify the meaning of the text. So how this is possible? You have to apply this text analytics techniques. So in text analytics also, you have to perform all the pre-processing methods. That is, you have to remove all the stop words from the text, and then you have to identify all the tokens. And then after identification of tokens, it must be converted to matrix format. That is, term frequency, inverse document frequency must be stored in the matrix format. And then you have to apply it for applications. So that is, you can use it for document classification, information retrieval, and sentiment analysis. So these are the various applications of text analytics. So this the process followed. So when the previously seen text examples are given for machine learning algorithm, and the new text, the predictive model predicts the categories of new text examples based on the previously seen text examples, and the categories of text category is identified. So one of the popular application is document classification. It's an example of machine learning in the form of natural language processing. So in the natural language processing, we have to process text, and all these pre-processing steps are done. After pre-processing, you have to apply the machine learning algorithm to classify it to different types of documents. So here, the document is classified into either technology-based document or sports-based document or entertainment-based document. So you can perform text analysis at the document level or paragraph level or sentence level or sub-sentence level. So what is document level? You can obtain relevant information for full document. In paragraph level, you can obtain the most important categories of just one paragraph. And sentence level, you can obtain relevant information of a single sentence. And in sub-sentence level, you can obtain relevant information of sub-expressions within sentences. And why do we use this document classification? It is used by several companies to classify the data into the document into account data document, personal data document, and commercially valuable document. So it adds more security to the confidential data. So this is the most useful application of document classification. So we have seen what are the various applications of data analytics. The, this slide shows the various data sources. So in this data sources, we have several data. You can collect data from these various websites. Data Hub is a website. So you can take healthcare data from World Health Organization. For example, you can take COVID data and you can analyze the data. So before analyzing the data, we have to apply all these steps. Otherwise, you cannot get good accuracy. So if you want to predict the COVID cases, future COVID cases, number of COVID cases, so what you can do is we can apply this prediction model. If you directly apply prediction model without any pre-processing, the accuracy cannot be improved. So to get better accuracy, we have to follow mainly data exploration phase and data preparation phase. And European, and the third source is European Union Open Data Portal, Amazon Web Service, public data sets, Facebook Graph, Google Trends, Google Books, Ngrams, Machine Learning Repository, Kaggle, and these are the various data sources. So when you do your research, you can take data from these sources. So now you can post your queries. Thank you. Any queries? So you can post your queries. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam, presentation close பண்ணிருங்க madam. Stop presentation close பண்ணீங்கன்னா நீங்க வந்து.
Okay. Oh.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Madam, 2.53 Miranda T. Question paper.
So some software for data analysis. The best software for data analysis is Python. Python, or you can use R. R is a statistical programming language. You can go for R. It is an open source language. And also we can go for Python. Python contains, so it's a general purpose language. You can apply, you can create web application as well as you can go for data analytics. So for data analytics, several packages are there in Python. So if you go for Python, you can use TensorFlow, Scikit-learn, and then Seaborn. Seaborn is a very popular language for statistical analysis. And for all video analytics, data analytics, deep learning, for all these things, packages are available in Python, which is considered to be the best language for data analysis. Okay, next question. Could you brief about the difference between data analysis and data analytics? So actually data analysis is part of data analytics. So data analysis phase actually combines data preparation and data exploration. These two form data analysis. So it's a subset of data analytics. Is it clear? Any other question? So Python good or R good? So if it is statistical processing, R also contains several powerful tools. And if you want to go for deep learning, it is better to go for Python. But if you want to go for regression and ordinary processing, we can go for R language. Any other question? Data replication. So for data duplication, so if it is data replication, you got to remove duplicate data. That's also a part of data analysis. Which analytics can be used to focus on past performance. Past performance, you can go for summarization, data summarization or data aggregation techniques. And a specific tool for outlier analysis tool, or you can use R tool or Python tool for outlier analysis. That's the best tool. You can go for SAS also, SAS, statistical analysis software. That's also best for outlier analysis, but it is not open source. So for outlier analysis, you can go for R. Any other question? So some data analytics current research problem. So data analytics can be applied in almost all the fields. So you can have, I explained IoT data analytics. You can go for image data analytics, web data analytics, and so text analytics, text analysis, image document classification is an example. There are so many problems in data analytics. If depends on the data. So if you want to process image, you can go for image analytics and object detection. Object detection is one of the applications. And if you go for video analytics, you can identify motion detection. Motion detection is an application. Or object detection in videos is an application. And and you can go, it depends upon the data selected. Problem depends upon your data. You can go for video or image or ordinary data in the form of rows and columns, structured data. So tell about data analytics in semantic web. So data analytics can also be applied in semantic web. Semantic web means you can detect some meanings from the text data. So it is mostly like text analytics. Semantic web is mostly like text analytics. So you can apply text analytics techniques for semantic web. There are several text analytics tools are also available for pre-processing. So for example, if you want to extract tokens from the text data, then you can apply text analytics tools to extract all the tokens from the text data. So before that, if you want to remove stop words can be removed, and you can remove all the unnecessary words. And stemming also several tools are available. And after that, you can semantic tools also, text analytics tools are also available in the net. So you can apply, you can use those techniques for data analytics in semantic web. So which is the recent area. Again, top analytics tools are Python and R. According to me, this top analytics tools are Python and R. Any other question? So without data analytics, if you directly go for extracting patterns, it will not give you best results. And it will not be used for effective decision, making effective decisions also. So in Google Docs, we have voice to text typing. So your question is, what type of classification analysis technique has been used in Google Docs application. So in most of the old applications, people were using only SPM and back propagation networks. These type of techniques were used for applications, classification and analysis. Nowadays, people are going for deep learning techniques. Any other questions? Any other questions?
Madam, is there any specific tool for analyzing unstructured data from T. Sumati?
Unstructured data.
The answer is there question? Is there any specific tool for analyzing unstructured data?
You can use Python, sir. Any unstructured data can be analyzed using Python.
No, I think she would have come from computer science. We should not look for tools. If you want to do research, then you should not look for tools. Language data is alright.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Other people like MBA,
tools, other people.
Economics, they can ask tools for processing data.
Yes, sir,
but
yes,
when we are in computer science, if you use any tools, I think our research may not be fruitful one.
Yeah.
Shanti madam கேட்டிருக்காங்க whether SVM
Yes,
is better than logistic regression. நீங்க அந்த
SVM is used for
chat box click பண்ணீங்கன்னா எல்லா क्वेश्चंस பார்க்கலாம் மேடம்.
ஓகே சார் பார்த்துட்டு இருக்கேன் சார்.
அத கிளிக் பண்ணீங்கன்னா வரிசையா you can see all the questions madam.
Okay. SVM is used for classification and logistic regression can be used for prediction. Any other question? So which method or techniques are used for video analytics? So video analytics, any machine learning technique can be applied for video analytics, but the data is very large, it is better to use deep learning techniques. Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
Anand?
Yes, sir.
Sir?
யாரு கன்க்ளூட் பண்றது யாரு சதீஷ் சாரா?
சார் நான் பண்ணிடுறேன் சார்.
நீங்க ஏதாவது பேசணும்னா பேசுங்க சார்.
யார் நானுங்களா?
ஆமா சார்.
இல்ல வேற யாராவது என்ன क्वेश्चंस இருந்ததுன்னா let them ask.
Is there any? Okay, sir. Sir, is there any job opportunity for data analyst னு கேட்டிருக்காங்க.
மேடம் என்ன அதாவது if they just go through the LinkedIn and Naukri, they can get plenty of job opportunities for data analytics. And moreover, what as far as myself is concerned, if anyone is familiar with Microsoft Excel, immediately job opportunities are there. Microsoft Excel. So data analytics can
Advanced.
be done with Microsoft Excel. We need not bother about other machine learning algorithms. The problem is we are not looking for any kind of applications. So once if you are able to do any kind of case studies or use cases, then lot of opportunities are there. Since all of us are faculty members, please take while you are teaching any algorithm, first you must show the working. Many people are not showing the working for students. So if you didn't show the working, then the students could not able to understand. And once if you know the working, you can very much implement it. But the problem is many of the students are not able to understand the algorithm properly. So faculty, மேடம் நீங்களே சொல்லுங்க நம்ம டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல எத்தனை PhD ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் டேட்டா அனலிட்டிக்ஸ் போயிருக்காங்கன்னு.
Yeah. So my student Sangaras and Sindhil has joined in a company in Mumbai, and they are nearly getting 9 lakhs before completing PhD, and now he is going to get 15 lakhs per annum. So there are several job opportunities. In mainly NLP, there are several job opportunities. So you can work with NLP data, text analytics. And you must know how to process the data. That's very important. So these are the questions asked: how exploratory data analysis and data preparation are the questions asked in the interview. How will you process the data before applying machine learning techniques? So if you know all this, you can be selected as a data analyst. So several opportunities are there, and they are given good packages for data analysis. So MSc data science is going to be much popular in the coming years.
I hope the participants may attend lot of webinars, not only conducted by Periyar University, which I think lot of organizations and industries, even universities are conducting lot of webinars, and through which you can get the popularity of data analytics and machine learning, and also the applications of artificial intelligence. Here actually daily 6 o'clock, 6 to 7, we have a discussion I have discussion with my research scholars. Really I am surprising. They are not able to understand some of the basic concepts. I think for the past 20 days, I have been teaching the basic things for them. Even if you take the back propagation neural network, they don't know how the weights are being updated, how the weight can be optimized. So there are a lot of things. But once if you want to work with neural network or any kind of things, just the computer science people are what they are doing. They are taking data and they are seeking the help of MATLAB or R or Python. Even they are not doing themselves. They are giving to the centers, and some of the results they are getting, and not even they are verifying the results. I am very sorry to say here, I think more than 130 participants are there. Some of you may do research work. Some of you already would have completed the research. But the very pathetic situation is, even if you are not able to know how an algorithm can be implemented for a existing, I am talking about existing, for a particular data set, how can we do research in data analytics? It is very difficult. So basic, you must do what I want to say, just if you put back propagation worked out example in the website, you can get plenty of worked out examples. You can go through it. You please try to teach for the students. It will be more advantage for you as well as for the students. But most of the faculties are hesitating to work on it. That is the very pathetic thing. For any kind of data analytics or data mining, you have already lot of worked out examples in net. So you can take the worked out example, you can go through it. Even yesterday we discussed Adam optimization, but even I could not understand the concept of Adam optimization. Adam means adaptive optimizer, adaptive optimizer, but I could not understand the concept. So without understand the concept, the people are able to run it with the help of Python. But as a computer scientist, if you want to enhance or modify any kind of algorithm, you must go through that particular algorithm and you should get what are all the parameters involved in that. Then only you can modify that algorithm. So I think morning Mrs. Lakshmi would have given lot of cases. I didn't attend that lecture because I attended one webinar organized by NAC because it is most very much useful for our university. So for that purpose, I attended that algorithm. So I didn't attend her talk. I think Hannah madam almost she touched because sometimes I listen. I am unable to listen her slides because while I was traveling, just I heard the things. And I think she has given almost what are all the techniques available for data analytics and all. She listed, but the people, those who are interested in a particular domain, you must take the data set. For example, COVID data set is available. Gene expression data set is, genome data set is available. If you want to apply the recent algorithms, you can publish the paper. You can very much publish the paper, and the recent data set you must take. If you go through the NCBI or UCI data repository, you can get plenty of data set. You need not bother about the data set. Data sets are available, but the problem is, once if you take the data set, madam has clearly mentioned what are all the pre-processing steps, what are all the things you have to adopt for pre-processing. Because while the people are coming for presentation, suppose if they would have used a neural network, the data should be normalized. Without applying the normalization, if anyone apply the back propagation neural network, you cannot get the result, but people are coming with the result. What shall I do? So such kind of a scenario you can see. I don't know, I'm not finding fault with the guide, neither guide or nor student. There are lot of books are available, lot of websites are available. You go through it, step by step you go through it. You can very much understand what are the things to be done. But the lacking is, most of the time people are not able to understand the basic concepts. That's what I'm telling again and again. So similarly, I didn't attend the morning session which was delivered by Dr. Satish. And because the blockchain is the very recent emerging area that has got lot of applications. You can see it in the LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn, you can see the job description. Yesterday, as I told, data scientist is flying. You can find it in number 1. And similarly, lot of opportunities are there. But the problem is little bit mathematics we should know. Otherwise, it is very difficult to manage with data analytics methods. Because sometimes people are asking irrelevant questions. Question itself may be wrong. I don't want to tell what are all the things, right? So please understand the basic concepts, then definitely you can produce fruitful results. You can publish it in good journal. And I think Dr. Satish can conclude.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. It's a time to wind up the session. I would like to thank Dr. H. Hannah Inburani ma'am to present a wonderful session on data analytics. It's a very informative ma'am, and I would like to thank all the participants, those who are participating in the particular sessions. And with this, and we will inform you tomorrow. We can have a final day sessions. Morning, Dr. Lawrence Arograj take a session on recent developments in computer vision, and afternoon session will be handled by Dr. R. Radipriya. He taught about the data visualization using Python. So with this, we can conclude. All the participants are asked to leave the meeting. Thank you for your kind attentions.